and that was the whole objective, is to get people to hear some positivity. So I'll just start off the show, and I'll introduce you. There's some things I wanted to get on.
My name is pronounced Tyrell. I think you got it right. Way to go. But it doesn't really matter. Just people are like, why didn't you tell me how to say your name? I'm like, it doesn't matter really, but.
Well, I was watching the video, and it just cracked me up because they said your name wrong
every time.
Tyrell. But everyone knows you as Tyrell. That's why I was like, I'm like, Tyrell. Okay, Tyrell. I've got to remember that. Tyrell.
Oh,
Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Tyrell. Like you're tearing a piece of paper.
Yeah. Because everyone messes up my name too. So it's like, I get you. I understand. Okay, well, I'm going to get started with the show.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Estenia Caputo here with Valence Fitness. I am so happy to have you join us again this week. Every week I've had a different personality on the show. I have to say that the person that I have joining us today has an outstanding personality, a very outspoken personality, very energetic personality. I am so thrilled to have him with us today. I know in the past this whole show has been about having people come on and tell a story about adversity and how they overcame this. But the individual that I have on today is we're taking it from a different perspective, more about being more as an aspirational speaker. He speaks to many people because of the position that he's been in the past. Now, many of you will know him because he is a former NFL player in the late 80s to 90. And I will tell you a little bit more about him because I think it's really interesting to know that he is, because I'm going to ask him about these things because I want to know how his childhood was and all that. But he is a child of, there were 5 children, and he grew up in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, my home state of Illinois. So it's great to have him here. It's nice to have someone from my home state. He actually received his college degree from NIU. And during his college years, he played quarterback for Harper JC and NIU. He went on to lead NIU to a Mid-American Conference championship and a victory in the 1983 California Bowl. Wow, what was I doing in 1983? 1983, I was graduating from grade school, so I'm already aging myself here. Let's see. He was named MVP of his team and the MAC Player of the Year, winning the Jefferson Trophy. He was inducted into the National Junior College and Northern Illinois University Hall of Fame. So he says before he entered into the real world, which is what he's going to talk to us about now, he actually played 7 years in the NFL as a fullback, special teams captain for the Atlanta Falcons, the Los Angeles Rams, Buffalo Bills, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why he wasn't with the Bears at home, I do not know. But good for him. During his tenure, he was noted as one of the top special team players in the NFL and was voted special teams captain, NFL runner-up for Special Teams Player of the Year, NFL Pro Bowl first alternate 2 years in a row, and Special Teams Player of the Year with the Los Angeles Rams. Now, why am I mentioning all this? This show isn't about what he has done, is it? Yes, it is, because this is about a gentleman who has taken what he's learned, those leadership skills that he had to demonstrate in those roles that he had in his past, and actually use it in what he calls his real life now. It has served him well in business, and it has benefited the communities of which he's a part of. He is a member of the National Football League Players Association, former Players Chicago chapter, and Chapter of the Year. What was I saying here? Following a 3-year term as president and earning Chapter of the Year. He is dedicated to inspiring kids and applies the leadership skills he has developed across the spectrum in his personal life and his professional life. So I am so thrilled to introduce to you, and I will not botch up his name, Tim Tyrell.
Hello, all right. Nice job. Way to go. Way to go.
Did I do it well? I hope so. Yay. Give me an A+. Give me a star.
Way to go, young lady. Way to go. I'm actually one of 7 kids. My mom would forget how many she had also.
Oh my gosh. Wait, didn't you tell me 5 though? You were only 5.
Well, I had 5. There were 5 boys and 2 girls. Maybe that's what maybe you thought that. Yeah. I think that was the
girls. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God! Our neighborhood, our neighbors had 10.
5. You were number 5.
Yeah, I was number 5 of 7. That's right.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I messed that up.
Yeah, that's it.
You lose track. I would think you lose track after 3.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I don't blame you. My mom did too. And she also used to call me the dog and the cat's name and my 2 brothers before she would actually call my name. Portia.
You had animals too, huh? You had the cats and dogs. Oh, yeah.
We had dogs and cats.
Oh, we love it. We even have a bunny that runs around our property.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And but you don't own it? He just stops by for food?
He comes by for food. I pet her every day. She roughhouses with the cat, the 15
How cute is that?
Oh, that's hilarious. Awesome. I'll have to send you a video.
That is awesome. That's the best pet. You don't have to really take care of it. You feed them and kind of hang out and then go away.
Yeah, but they go she likes to go next door and eat their vegetables because there's a lot of vegetables growing around here. In Hawaii. So
wow.
how's Chicagoland holding up?
Chicago was beautiful. It's been beautiful all week. I was going to say it's probably like Hawaii is right now. We had 85 yesterday. I actually golfed in a charity event of a group of people that raise money for their local community in Rockford, Illinois. They raise $100,000 every year, and they give the money to various charities throughout that town. Yeah, and it's really cool. And I spoke there at this. It's called the Cosmopolitan Club. I spoke there about 6 months ago, and they invited me to this outing, and we had a blast.
Yeah. What did you speak about? What was it all about?
Well, the Cosmopolitan Club. This is actually it's a men's group, and they're business owners. Typically, they're business owners, and they it's just their way of giving back to the community, and they're all committed and dedicated to doing that. You know, there's a lot of people who talk about it, but they do it, and they specifically raise $100,000 every year. And I think one of the big ways they do it is they sell lilies, or there's one day where they're selling the flowers or something. I don't know what it was, but they get that number every year, and that goes, and they're committed to it. And so they're very serious. They raise money through the golf outing as well. I think their big one is this big flower sale. But it's really, when you meet them, the unique thing about them is that they really care, and they're committed to making sure this money gets in the right hands and it's making a difference. Not just it's going somewhere and you're not sure where it goes. And that's what's so fun about it, is you get to see the people it affects. And that's what I love about my life, is when I get involved in something, I prefer to be able to see who I'm affecting, so I can really see the results. Because when you do that, so what I spoke about, I kind of told my story, sort of like what we'll do here today. I mean, I think I mentioned to you that for me, everything that I've been able to experience, it was because of what other people did for me. It wasn't anything that I did. God gave me some ability and some desire and commitment, and God knows He gave me enough energy. I've never done a drug in my life. I don't know where I get it from. To this day, I'm like, Timmy, settle down, little buddy. I don't even drink coffee. I don't drink liquor. Holy smokes. So I don't know where it's coming from. But along with it came a pretty decent attitude, you know, understanding how to take constructive criticism at all levels, really. I think after high school even more, because I kind of figured out that if I want to maintain where I'm at, keep doing it my way. But if someone, what always happened in my life is that someone pushed me to a level that I didn't think I could ever get to. And I don't know if I would have done it without them. You know what I mean?
Well, I have to ask, did you ask for that, or did you just receive it? Was it something where you just open to receiving it came to you, or what happened?
I received it. What we talked about earlier, we talked a little bit about kind of what do I want to do in my life? And I think sometimes, I think all the time, I mean, there's a plan really, but you know, you may think you want to do something, because I recruited for years too, and I kind of figured this out. But you may think I want to go sell this Kaiser fitness equipment. This would be great. Or I want to be a coach, and you want to do, and you go there and you start doing it, and you realize, oh my gosh, this is not as glamorous as I thought it was, or this isn't anything about what I thought it would do. Or when I played basketball, I didn't really like it that much, but I went and I was horrible too. So it helped sort it out myself. I wasn't that good. And I was pretty good in baseball and football and soccer, did really good in soccer, did really good in baseball, kept doing really well in football, and I got a bigger rush out of it, which I didn't plan on, but it happened. So and I started winning more drills, little things, little steps. Then you start really like, wow, I know. And so that kind of guided me to football. And I was a little guy. And for me, I had, so we can get into my career afterwards, but all sports through high school were pretty good to me. And in the business world, it was similar as well. When I got out of the NFL and went into the business world, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I had some ideas, and I put a plan together. And I tried all of them almost. And then you kind of get, I'm good at this. And what I would always do as I got older and into my career, I would find out whatever company I went to, if it was because I was always in sales, I wanted to know who the best one was there. And what I would do is I'd emulate them. I would do what they did, and then I'd add a little bit of me to it. But also, listen. You have two ears for a reason and one mouth. Listen to how they did it, because I don't know the right way of doing it. They succeeded by probably listening, and I want to know how the best is. In sports, I did the same thing. I would see, wow, that dude is amazing. Look at how he runs routes, and look at how and I would try to do it how they did it and then get coached up by the coaches, So a lot of it really was don't just zip it.
Yeah.
And
so you're really open to receiving the information. I think that is a struggle for a lot of people in the world. It's an ego thing. It's difficult for some to actually humble themselves to learn from others, but it's those that surround themselves by people with knowledge that really do end up becoming very successful themselves. And to go with your passion, it sounds like you were going through all these things and you were, actually fine-tuning what your passion was, what you were passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you went into football and then how it morphed into what you are doing now.
I think it's really understanding that you need to understand that you don't have to like your coach. You don't have to like your teacher, but you need to say, listen, your way of doing things got you where you're at, and maybe it's not, and you want to get to a higher level. Maybe you need to see how someone else did it. Maybe not do it exactly how they did, but that's how you learn. And that's how you challenge yourself to do all the things. I mean, I never, we'll get a little bit into more of the detail of how my sports career ended up. Cause it was like, I was a skinny little player in high school and I missed my senior year because the very first day of training camp, I was a running back. I tore ligaments in my knee and I was done. It was almost like this COVID right now where these kids now can't play their senior year. And it's like, oh, they're devastated. And I can remember coming home and throwing my crutches because I was going to have knee surgery. Nothing major, but it was going to end my career for that season. And then I sat out a year and another year, went to a junior college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. That was my option. And other people went for different reasons. They went to a junior college because typically you're not going to start your first couple of years in college anyways. Plus, so when I went, the short story is I ended up 2 years missing football. And I was like, I was still skinny. And I chose Harper Junior College, which was in my town. And I went there as a running back. They converted me to a quarterback 3 games into the season. And I just excelled. And the next year, I ended up getting 12 scholarship offers out of Harper. 3 as a quarterback, 9 as a defensive back. Went to Northern Illinois. Didn't know I would do good there. Ended up becoming the MVP of the team. I won the Jefferson Trophy, which was the player of the year in the conference. I wasn't drafted. Then 4 pro teams looked at me. The Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys, Seattle Seahawks, and Green Bay Packers. I chose the Falcons because I thought my chances would be good, and I got in there, and you talk about abuse. Good abuse, but I mean a constructive, hardcore. They don't have a lot of time to try to make you better. If you don't get it at that level, you're gone. You're gone. And in the business, and then if you want, I can go on with my career a little bit, but it was really about just stopping and don't take things personally. Take them as a way of, maybe if I do change, I can be better. Or maybe I should respond this way. Stop and listen a little bit.
Yeah. Well, something's coming to mind when you talk about how you got injured and you couldn't play your senior year, and you're relating it saying, it's sort of like the situation with COVID, these kids can't participate in what they want to participate in. If you can think back to then, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, we're not that old, but when you think back, what kept you going? Was there a time that you ever felt defeated, or and that you didn't do anything, or did you just go, I'm just still going forward and I'm going to keep going and I'm going to do what I need to do? What was going on in your head and your emotions back then? Because I want kids to be able to hear like the inside truths, like what's going on, what gets you motivated, what keeps you on track, so that they can also see how to be successful.
It's so easy. It's so easy. I know there was a couple, but what I missed that feeling I felt before kickoff, even in high school, that feeling of anxiety that we're going to go take the field and we're going to, it was like a war. And I missed it for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back with the team. I loved the whole team concept, that adrenaline rush. I didn't get it I was working at a grocery store, Dominic's grocery store, and I was a bagger. I was bagger of the year, but I was a bagger. I don't like to brag. Yeah. But no, I always joke around. I tell everyone I was that. But I missed football, and I had the chance to go to get on a team. And man, that feeling came back. That feeling that I felt like, wow. And I got to go back to school. And I love the team part. I love the fact you learn how to work with other people. And I had a phenomenal coach who taught it that way. But it was so simple for me. It was that feeling of adrenaline, that feeling of good anxiety. I had missed it for 2 years. It was gone. And I went to this team and, there it is again. And I think if you talk to anybody, whether it's an actor, an actress, someone who's about to take stage, a singer, a rock band. I got a chance to meet lots of rock bands and lots of people. And the thing, and anybody who takes the stage or is going to go out and do a presentation for work even. It's this amazing feeling like, look, you better know your goods because this is a real deal. You're taking the field from here. You now are someone that people are going to listen to because you know what you're talking about. And so it's a good feeling to know, and then you accomplish it. And there's nothing better. That's why when someone gives you something, there's just not that appreciation. You don't get it. But when you earned it and you worked for it, it's an amazing, amazing feeling of accomplishment. Whatever. Some are small, some are big.
So when you mentioned team, I want to talk about that too. We're going into this whole new chapter of life where people are having to do a lot of things on their own. Like the kids are in school now on online, right? And a lot of this is on your own. What are some good points you have as far as being a team player? How do you see like the benefit of working with a team, and how do you go about that? What are some good points?
It's a great question because no one on the team is any better than anyone else on the team. It's like the old chain. It's like the chain. I mean, if there's a weak link in the chain, then the deal's not going to be done. When I'm in sales and I'm selling a product, and I work with builders, so I work with these big builders who build, maybe some of them build between $2 and $10 million homes. One builder will build 10 homes a year. My job is to take that, and so I was working for a lighting company. I want them to buy all their lights through our company. Now, I don't sell them the lighting, but I have a team of experts that helps people buying those homes select their lighting and put it in the right places and deliver it, and we install it. It's beautiful. Now, I don't do any of that, but my team has got to be a part of it. And when you're part of a team, that's why you may have a great superstar, but the whole team never wins games. That's great. There's been players out there that have been on okay teams, but it's understanding that your role is don't diminish someone else's role because they're answering the phones at the company. Because that person answering your phone, you spend thousands and hundreds of dollars to have somebody show up in your office or walk into your store, and the first person they're greeted by is an angry man or an angry woman who's, how can I help you? And it's no. Training's got to go in, but it's everyone. It starts at the beginning, and then they always say from concept to completion, from the beginning to the end of the process. In sales and with the team, your guard's got to block, your tackle's got to block, your tight end's got to do the move that they have to do. Everyone's doing something for a reason. They may not score the touchdown, but it's the reason the touchdown was scored is because the other 10 guys did it, just like in volleyball, just like in a band. So you need to understand that it's not, you may be a great athlete. Don't lack humility and don't lack gratitude. Always remember that. We talked earlier about this. the things that I've accomplished in my life and have experienced were not because of anything that I did. It was because of what everyone else did. And I was a part of it. Now they highlight the quarterback and you score the touchdowns and you're always the hero. But the team is who did it. Everyone does it, and it's great because in college, for me, we won everything. When we were picked to play that year, we were picked number 6 out of 12 teams. We weren't picked to win the conference. We blew everyone away because our team was smart. Everyone did their job, and no one's job was more important than the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope that answers. It's really It's not just one person. It's a team to get things done.
Yeah. And I want, because, the audience that I want to reach is every age, and I want children to understand that too. Cause I'll be honest, my daughter, she is an overachiever, and she talks all about how she likes to do the projects by herself because she can't rely on her teams. Yeah. People don't do the work. They know she'll do the work. They put all the work on her, Miss Honors, straight A student. But, so also to, like you said, gratitude, be grateful for those who participate on the team, and make sure that you don't put the load on others, and do your part, to make things happen.
Yeah. Well, one of the, I do a lot of stuff with a lot of different charities, probably at least 15 different charities. One of them is with the VA hospital, the Hines Hospital here in Hines, Illinois. We go in what's called an area where everyone's pretty much in wheelchairs, or they're horizontal. They're like laying down. And a couple of years ago, this young girl and her dad started coming around. So I would call bingo, and I'd bring some NFL players there, and we'd play bingo for some of the residents that couldn't play. And it was, oh my God, I had them laughing their butts off. It was so much fun because they got some NFL players now visiting them. And it was great. This 14-year-old beautiful girl and her father. And she's around, and I see her, handing out some of the food, because we would get food donated and we would give them food. And I always brought a lot of volunteers, a lot of the players. And this young lady, and then she got out and she had a piano, the Casio pianos, and she played a little song and sang a little bit. And she had these balloons with presents for 3 of the veterans that were in there. And I'm like, who are you? Who are you? What are you doing? And I asked her dad, I go, he goes, well, Tim, she's 14 years old, okay? She's 14. Talk about taking the initiative. 14 years old. She started a foundation that remembers the veterans' birthdays, gets a present for them, finds out about their background, has balloons, and she'll come with whoever's birthday it is, because every month we would go. So whoever's birthday it was that month, she brought the present in, and we would deliver the present to these people that can barely move. And then she'd get up and she'd sing a song. And so she has a foundation, and I was like, I witnessed this, and I introduced her, and I kind of made a big deal. As I got to know her and her dad, she's a junior, was a sophomore at the time, I think, and now she's a senior. She asked me to, because I watched her take the initiative, and 14 years old, her fundraiser now, I forget the name of it, but now she raises money for various things. I can't remember all of them, but a lot of it is for the veterans. Can you imagine these veterans are 80, 90 years old, and some of them a little younger because they're in for various reasons. And for her to step forward, and she was honored. She was going for this huge scholarship award and asked me to introduce her, which was a real honor. But to see a young person just blaze that trail and just say, I'm going to do this. And take the initiative to do that. I was so proud. I mean, and I would talk to her father. I still speak to him all the time. I'm like, you and her younger sister is following in her footsteps. So when you lead by example, you have no idea. It's much better than talking it. Yeah. People talk a big game, but they live a different life. This young lady is living a lifestyle, and those are the people who influence me the most. Mm-hmm. Not the ones who talked it. Not the ones who go to church and they're cutting people off in the parking lot, and they're mad at each other in the parking lot of church. I'm like, wait a minute, you just went to church to be a better person. It's living life on life's terms. It's going out and remembering. You know what? Let someone cut in line for you. Wave to them. At the grocery store. These little things we get to us. You got to remind yourself daily. It's a daily reprieve that I do. More of a situation where I have this angel on my shoulder now that says, Tim, don't do that. Do this. And I literally, because every day I wake up and I say a little prayer, and it's, God, your will, not mine, be done.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to do? How am I supposed to handle this situation? So stop, hesitate, think about it, and do it. But boy, these young people, they influence their kids at their age in such a way that you can't see it right away, but later on, you'll see they looked up to this girl. And I just think it's so cool when you live it.
Yeah, it's really important. Yeah, you can talk all you want, but be able to walk the walk is most important. And it's nice to see that in the young people.
It's awesome.
Now, you've done a lot of, you say there's several organizations that you represent. And you mentioned one already. As far as the organizations, when you have chosen these, what are you passionate about? Why did you choose these particular ones? What is it that you are trying to achieve?
Boy, it's quite a diverse. So there's a group called Parents for Peace and Justice in Chicago, and I was approached by a Hispanic young man who started this organization. And this is an organization where parents lose a kid because of gun violence in Chicago. And it's in this Hispanic area, and they're getting killed, 10-year-old. I mean, it's unbelievably sad. And I'm like, how can I? And he knew my football connections. So that's been about 5 years now. We get some NFL players. We go and speak to the elementary kids because in some cases, they don't have fathers. And I can, like I said before, I can see that we are helping them out directly. And I tell their principal, to tell their parents to call us. We're going out to speak. We're supposed to go Wednesday, but they just canceled it. But I chose that because I know I can see the results of the things that we're doing. And not that I can't to some of the others, but I would feed the homeless through a church in Lake Zurich all the time. And I did that for 10 years, and I coordinated. I got NFL players there. So sometimes players were serving these homeless people, and they come and they go grocery shop and they bring all this food, and it's amazing. But I got to see it with my own eyes, and it's like, wow, that's cool. I do stuff with Lori Cancer Center in Chicago. We've raised over $100 million. We've raised over $20 million, which is seed money for cancer research. So when they do research, that research puts them to a level that gets them grants, which means over 20 years. And for 3 of the years, I was working for the lighting company. So I do a golf outing. I get 45 NFL players that play with these people. We raise money for the golf outing, and that money goes towards cancer research right here in Chicago. And they help people worldwide. But I've gone out to dinner with the actual scientists and doctors. So me and a couple other big name players in Chicago had dinner with the people actually doing the research. And so it's amazing to be that close to it. I mean, it's in. And the list goes on. The Cosmo, I know exactly where the money goes. I did something for a local charity, which was for the military, but local. They have their what do they call those little VFWs? The VFW, where they have a group in the area. And I did a golf outing, private golf outing. And we set up a 501c3 specifically because normally they put the money in a pool of money and you don't know who it goes to. This, we made it so it went to people we actually know. We saw it and we chose who it went to. And it was for a very good reason, not because they screwed up and they drank a lot and they couldn't pay their mortgage. There was a good reason. So I choose the ones, and let me end with this last one because this last one was really kind of sad but really cool. I never met the family. My friend Jimmy Gallo said, Tim, a friend of mine's in my neighborhood, his son has brain cancer. And I said, how did he have brain cancer? Well, his mom, the kid was going to Rensselaer College in an engineering school. It's one of the best engineering schools in the country and the East Coast. His mom saw a picture of him on Facebook, and his left face was drooping a little bit. I don't know. I guess she said, honey, she called him and said, honey, and a picture on Facebook, go to the doctor. Went to the doctor. It turns out he had brain cancer. 8 months were going by. He was in the hospital. Jimmy said, can we do a fundraiser to help the family pay for some? I go, done. In 3 weeks, we did this in 3 weeks. I called 25 now imagine 25 former NFL players for me showed up at this restaurant that gave us the food. We had auction items. We rented out. We raised $12,000 for the family. I never met the family. My friend, though, is my best friend. He was actually the one who was in an accident, was paralyzed from the waist down. But Jimmy's a CEO of a company. My passion is to give back. I have the ability to do that because God gave me this experience in the NFL. And now I'm an influencer. And now I've met all these fancy people. I'm great friends with the band AC/DC. I met them in London at Wembley Stadium. I scored my first touchdown. I've gone and brought people backstage AC/DC shows like you wouldn't believe. Dan Donegan, he's a Disturbed guitar player. Great guy. And all these people that I meet, and the only way I stay connected with them is because of 2 or 3 main things: character, integrity, and gratitude. If they lack that, I don't want to try to fix them. I just don't hang out with them.
Yeah,
integrity
is my favorite word. Integrity is the word that I wake up to every day. I love that word. Yeah. It's important to—
You got to live it, though.
You got to live it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do your best to be the best version of yourself, even when people aren't watching.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you say what you have found is that you want to give back. That is what you are passionate about. What comes back to you? What do you feel if people out there, because the reason why I started this show, there was a group of women after the COVID, quarantine thing happened. They had 1,000-some members on their site. We would get together as ladies and network, but they started doing it online. And I noticed that a lot of the women were severely depressed, and they were talking about how at least they had this, at least they had done that. I said, well, you got to change your mindset and your thinking and reframe it and say, isn't it spectacular that I was able to do this today? Isn't this great that I accomplished this? Not the lack of, right? To just sort of reword. And so I think what was lacking is this ability to be passionate and happy. So what is it that you could recommend to people to maintain their positivity during this time? How do you go about, since we're all secluded, how should they go about helping others? I think that's what the whole point was, is when I started the show, I wanted it to be so other people could learn how to stay positive, but also to get out of themselves and actually do something for someone else, because it does something for you. So what is it? Yeah, share. Go ahead.
That's exactly what my mom used to tell. And I don't know if my mom knew what she was talking about, but she got it right. She said, if you're feeling sorry for yourself, if you're feeling down, go help somebody else out. And I'm telling you, that's it. Because, and you had alluded to this, why do you kind of do it? Why do you do it? I think teachers teach and coaches coach for that moment when a student comes back to them. And I've been able to publicly do this to 2 men in my life. My coach in college was an amazing man. And I got to publicly thank him for the inspiration, for instilling in me an attitude of don't ever fail because of lack of effort. You can fail because you weren't good enough, but don't make it because of you didn't try hard enough. And if you wanted to do it, and that helps you, like, you know what? I gave it my best effort. I got to move on to the next thing. And there's nothing you can do about it. I often say, a blind person cannot land a jet plane. I mean, it's just never going to happen no matter how hard they try. But you kind of know your limitations, but I don't know if there's a better feeling when someone comes back to you and says, Tim, you know what? And they pull you aside. And I've had this happen a few times. You made a huge impact in my life. Because of you, I did this, or I went to try that or to do that. And it's a great feeling. I can't imagine as a teacher, it's just the fact that you influence somebody. It's like, wow, that's awesome.
And that it has a ripple effect. It has a ripple effect because then they, in turn, will assist or help someone else.
And unfortunately, you don't get to see it, though, sometimes,
Yeah.
But you gotta trust. You talked about integrity and character. Those are things when people aren't looking and only God sees you and you're doing the right thing. That's character. That's good character. You made the right decision, even though nobody saw it. You helped somebody out and weren't expecting anything in return. Right?
Have you ever had a story where, because you say you don't really always see it, but with all the people that you've helped at these different organizations, and you've mentioned even kids, have you had anyone write you a letter or reach out to you and tell you how?
Many times.
Yeah. And so what's the one that really gets to you?
Right.
I want to hear.
One of them, as you just mentioned, so I went and spoke at Joliet, Illinois. And there was a school there that was a last chance school. So these kids were getting kicked out of their high school, and they were really bad kids. Like they said they wanted to kill their teacher or something like that. And so what I did was I spoke all day there, but it was a 250 kids. So we broke it up in over about 6 hours, about a half hour per group. So it was about 10 groups or whatever it was, I forget. And then afterwards, we went outside and I played catch football with a lot of them, and a lot of them are, there are a lot of hard-headed kids, boys and girls. It was crazy. I was sitting next to one of the kids, and the teacher, and he was kind of interrupting. He was kind of really rude, but I was where I was, and I was cool. And he gave me a note, and he wanted me to hand it to the teacher. And the teacher shows it to me, and he wrote, "I want to kill you," to the teacher. And she says to me right in front of him, "This is what we deal with." And I started talking to him, and whatever. But I talked individually after the class with all of them. I don't know if they made them send me letters, but I got a lot of letters. And one of the letters came back and it said, well, there were several of them. Two of the kids said they were about to kill themselves and chose not to because of meeting me, or hearing my story or how I handle adversity. And you're reading this, and I saved all the letters too. And you're like, really? I mean, I don't know if that's true. One of them was telling me, they were about to do something. They were going to do something, but because what you won't see is in front of their peers, they're not going to act like they're soft or they're going to give in to you saying or doing something encouraging. That's where you don't get to see the result of what you're doing. And so you got to trust. And I just look at every day for me. My life has been so blessed. The fact that I lived that dream, I'm telling you, when I was playing for the Los Angeles Rams, I can remember waking up every day saying, God, how did you allow me to do this? How did you choose me to be able to be here playing for the Los Angeles Rams in California? This is a dream. And I meet the band, and I met John Wayne's son, Michael Wayne, and Donny Osmond, and I met several bands and just different, and they were really cool. It was kind of cool. And when you meet people, it's like they're all kind of like, I can't believe I got chosen to do this either. This is amazing. And so this amazing amount of gratitude on a daily basis fills my heart that, God, you chose me to have this fun life, and don't waste it. Who can I hopefully continue to have fun? Because I have more fun than anyone I know. And I don't drink and smoke, and I don't care if people do. I just don't. I don't need it. I can't imagine if I did. I might think that I could fly. I jump off a building and not fly.
You'll join me on my hang gliding adventures. Then.
Oh, no, thank you. No. Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm eternally grateful for my life. It's continues to be just so much fun.
Well, when you mentioned, your years, you played 7 years for the NFL, and you said it was a very blessed time. You're waking up thinking, oh, gosh, what kind of life do I have? This is amazing. How was it to transition, retire from the NFL? What was there fear? Was there anxiety? Was there any type of adversity that you went through? Like, what is the next step?
Everything you just mentioned. And then, everything, because, now it's over. Now there is no more kickoff. Now where are you going to, and you find a lot of athletes that go into drugs after sports, or anybody who lost what they used to do, a singer, or, a business person, anybody where they had that rush every day and now it's over and you have to replace it with something. And that's where the drugs come into play at times for some people, or some other way to have that feeling of, because you can't just make your own dopamine in your head, which a dopamine, from my understanding, is a fluid in your system, in your brain, that makes you excited or makes you depressed. And so there's a balancing act in your head with people. They say with people with too much dopamine or not enough or whatever, I don't know. But there's certain things that trigger that, and that allow. And it's not like you can just do it. You're going out to play in the NFL on TV Monday night with millions of people watching you, and you're like, oh my God, this feeling like, and we're going to kick off in front of everybody, and your family's there, and you're on the stage, and it's like, wow. And now you're not. Now you're on some phone trying to take an order for someone's hot dog, or take an order for whatever you're selling. And it's different. And it's like, wow, you know, and it gives you an appreciation for what you did. Also, you try to plan. I tried to plan, but everything you mentioned, anxiety, fear, the unknown, I don't know. What can I do? I always thought I would get into sales. That's what I did. And I've done pretty well. I was never always the best, but I approached it the same way I did football. I was always at the top, if not the best at times, but I was, because my approach to sports was the same way I was in the business world. Who's the best? How do I get there? You know your product or whatever it is you're doing. If you're an engineer, you know, you go through a technical school. If you're in sales, applications, warehousing, logistics, you know, those are different areas. You'll learn it, and hopefully people are passionate about it. But that's the other thing. I've changed jobs a lot because I've sold a lot. And a lot of them were I just didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like the people. The negativity around it, you couldn't change it, even though you were always trying to maintain this great attitude. It happens. And at some point, I would just like, I'm not fixing that. I'm going to go and find something, hopefully that's better. And so now I have my own thing where I represent 4 or 5 different companies at a time. And I like we had talked earlier, and I do business development. So I've identified 5 great companies. And so I get a rush with that. And I still do. People ask me to come and speak and play golf. And I just have a lot of fun. And and they do too. And for me, I just feel blessed, so I've been able to maintain a little bit of that adrenaline buzz my whole life, every day. But it is hard when I'm having this last few days working out of my house. The last few months have been tough for me too. But I go out and I help somebody.
Yeah.
With the mask on.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to have emotional roller coasters of life right now with everything that's going on, and you know, I wanted to mention, I think it's really important, you know, because I actually wrote a little meme the other day. It's like being not the whole thing I'm going to tell you, but you know, being a master to something, it includes failure to become a master.
Man, so, I can't tell you how many times.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've gone through some of those, you know, so-called failures, you know, at doing something that you found you weren't passionate about or didn't really care for the product or the people, and you move on. And I think people really need to hear that kind of message, that you don't have to be stuck doing things that you're not passionate about.
Right. And don't be, and I have a real hard time with anyone who thinks they're a victim. You may be a victim, but you know what? This guy started, the coach, man, when I was a freshman, a rookie in my rookie year, he didn't like rookies. And I'm making the team. And I can remember specifically when my mind attitude changed. I know the day, I know exactly when it happened. I come out of college as the player of the year, the MVP of my team, the MVP of the league. Out of 12 teams, they chose me as the best player in the league. And then now I'm going into the pros, and I didn't think anything. You know, I'm like, that's an honor to do that. But you get to the pros, you think the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons would at least know that I used to play quarterback, and then I was, you know, once a month, we ran a play which is called a halfback pass, and I was a fullback in the NFL. So defense, we were just practicing against our number 1 defense, and I was just what they call scout team. I was like 12th string, you know. I was the last player they were going to put in. But they pitched the ball back to me, and I acted like I was going to go run, and their defense came up to tackle me. And the backside, we had a guy run what's called a post route, and I threw the ball to him for a touchdown in practice, but it was really cool, and everyone's high-fiving each other, and the head coach comes up to me and says, he goes, wow, Tim, you must have been a high school quarterback. I go, close, coach, college. So I'll tell you, it made me so mad. I was so pissed because he didn't have a clue what I just did 4 months earlier in college. That I had a great career and I was voted the best in the league, but it didn't matter. He didn't know. And so the next day I came out, no holds barred, and I ticked off everybody. I went crazy. And I knew I had to step my game up because otherwise no one knew who I was. I didn't do anything at the pro level. And at that day is when my game started getting better and better. And it did. And I made the team, and then by my second year, I was a captain of the team in the pros, and you know, things went because of my work ethic. But I never, ever considered myself a victim. You know, some things aren't fair. You just keep plugging away. You keep plugging away, and then it'll sort itself out. And I've got cut by them. I was cut 5 times in the NFL. I played 7 years. I never said, oh, poor me, or I got screwed here. You can't. You got to keep moving.
It's
know
really
that life
on
isn't
you.
fair time.
Yeah, you can't make excuses by someone else's actions.
Even if it's true, you got to keep moving on.
Keep moving on. Yeah.
There's a grieving period, and you got to get over that quick. They say as a cornerback, well, it's a whole long story. I'm kind of confused, but you do have to get over it quick and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I had a question about that. And now I just forgot about just being passionate about. When you were when that happened, were you angry? Were you sort of frustrated because he didn't know, like you wanted to prove yourself to others, or was it just to challenge yourself to?
Well, it was a couple different things. I guess I didn't realize. I did, but I didn't. I didn't realize that, Tim, it doesn't matter what you did in the past. You're here today. And what can you do now? What can you do now? So it wasn't that I wasn't necessarily mad at him. I was mad at myself for not seeing it earlier. I mean, I went, and then from there on out, I went ballistic. When I say I went ballistic, I went crazy. I would go full speed in every drill and nail people. I didn't have the technique down, but these coaches were like, oh my gosh, this guy's nuts. And for a special teams guy, that's awesome. They love to see that. I learned technique, and all of a sudden, I'm blowing everyone away. We're cutting all the other running backs, and I'm staying. Now, almost overnight, I made a name for myself. And now you're getting looked at. Now there's more focus on you because I'm not worried about the veterans. If any of the kids or if any of you ever saw the movie, I think it's called Vince. It was Vince Papoli. It's a true story about Philadelphia Eagles had a tryout for just people who thought they could play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And this one guy made it, and he made the team, and the veterans would just hassle him and beat him up all the time. And he ended up being a pretty darn good player because he never put up with their crap and let them, and he earned a ton of respect from it. And it was almost a little bit like a Rudy story, a Rudy.
I haven't heard that in a long time. Yeah.
Almost a little bit like that. So you just can't be the victim. It gets you nowhere. Even though you might be, dust it off and just figure out a way to get to the top. And if you don't, remember, you don't because it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't because of lack of effort.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, you keep mentioning this effort that has to happen. So what do you think is your biggest effort that you have made in your career?
I think anything that I approached, the biggest was in the NFL. The chances of me making it from a college quarterback to a fullback were 1,000,000 to 1, maybe even more than that. I don't know. And that I didn't get injured because I was knocked out a lot. That's when you could lead with your head, and I would knock the heck out of myself and other people. It was crazy. The physical effort was there, and studying and knowing your plays. And then it's really kind of, then when you get into the business world, I want to succeed. And I just always, it was really a kind of a simple formula for me. Who's the best? How do I get like them? I'm going to do what they do. Learn how you do it, not hard. I'll find out how you did it. Learning the product or the service can be easy. That's not but learning how you do it and then adding my enthusiasm to it. And listen to your coach, and listening to the people who inspire you, who are really putting the numbers up and know how to do it. And understand constructive criticism. Don't be snapping back all the times. I know at times I do as well. But you also say, you know what, coach might be right. I need to change my footwork on this and do it this way. And so the effort for me, when I'm passionate about something, I just try to figure out a way to get it done, whether it be in business. How can I get a hold of this business owner? What's a good route? I would look them up on LinkedIn. And one of these companies that I worked with, I was trying to I worked for a company that did crowd management. So that included, for big stadiums, they had 13 NFL stadiums, right? One of them, they were in Atlanta, where I was trying to get the Gwinnett Center. It's about a 15,000 square foot arena. And they were going to bring in a new security company. So we would do the ushers, the ticket takers, the people who do the security, the parking. So we need to hire about 1,000 people to run the operation. And before I went and met with the gentleman who was in there, I looked up his background, looked about everything about him. And I noticed he was an engineer before he became the general manager of this facility. And he knew, and I know Jim Lovell, the astronaut who said, Houston, we have a problem. And this guy was into astronaut. So I did a little homework and research about this guy. And I ended up getting an autographed picture during our presentation after we presented to him that said, the Gwinnett Center has a problem, but CSC can fix it. Almost like Houston, we have a problem. And then Jim Lovell, the actual astronaut who signed, I had him sign it. But I did the research, little things that made me a lot different than just going in there doing a presentation, not knowing anything about the guy we're presenting to. I talked more about him than what our team could do. And I had a guy there with me that talked about the technical aspect of it. So it's preparing for whatever you're going into. And then what can I do different? What would be cool that's different to get their business? Something simple. I used to bring lunches, just show up with lunch and like to a plumber one time. And he freaked out with 4 of his guys. I got sub sandwiches, drinks, food, everything for him. He's like, I don't even know you. I was just delivering a product. Well, that plumber knows 25 other builders. Guess who introduced me to all the other builders? So it's thinking along those lines when you get in the business world. And you know, the different careers, it's just being creative and different and enthusiastic without, there's times when I've been accused of just being overexcited. You got to chill it out a little bit.
And, you know, to some people would go, oh, that's not authentic. You know, that's not, you know, it has an agenda. But you know what? We all have an agenda to be successful or to do something, you know, and hopefully you're going in the positive direction. So I say go for it. You know, do stand out. Go the extra mile. Do something a little different to stand out and help others. I think it's really important. Because that does show the success that people have if you do. I have to ask, you know, when you, because there are people, there are going to be kids who are listening in. So there's 2 parts to this. When you were growing up, do you feel that you had the support of family to say, do whatever you want to do, we support you? And, you know, or do they not, like there's some kids that are out there that think, oh, I can't do that because it's not going to, that's that 1 in a million chance that I'm going to make the team. You know, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah. Boy, well, I'll tell you, it all boils down to passion and desire. What really, really, really makes me sad, and it really does, and I have a friend, he's not really a friend, but he's a friend of a friend who's a multimillionaire. Let's just take him, for example, and I won't tell you. He owns a lot of stuff. He owns just a lot, over 4,000 apartment complexes. So he just bought a building for $253 million and then one for $150 million about 4 years ago. But he already has 15 buildings and then 5 outside the suburbs. Whenever I see him miserable, he's constantly miserable, and I don't understand why. And I joke with him a little bit, but I also am very serious about it. And I say, listen, Tom, you've heard this before, but you don't get to take anything with you. I go, you got to start enjoying some of these successes throughout your life. And that's these small things. I take him to dinner and to lunch, and I buy. I mean, you think the guy doesn't have any money. You know, he looks like he's homeless. He's a multimillionaire. And I hang with him a little bit. He's come to auctions. He's bought a few things, not a lot, especially with the amount of money he has. But what amazes me, find something you're passionate about, and then be passionate about it. What I would suggest is there's a preacher out there. I heard it 25 years ago. It's called "It All Goes Back in the Box," and it's by John Ortberg. And basically, this thing is a story about as he's growing up in Wisconsin, he'd go and visit his grandma, and his grandma would beat him in Monopoly all the time. She'd blow him away, and he'd have to. And so finally, the day came. He was 11 years old, and he beats his grandma in Monopoly. He's like, "Oh, Grandma, I get the whole hotels and all this and this." And then, you know, runs outside. He's doing a victory lap around the house. Yeah, celebrating. He's won. He beat his grandma. And then he gets back, and his grandma says, "Now, little Timmy, now it all goes back in the box. All the hotels, all the property you have and everything. It all goes back in the box, and it's tucked away." And it's sort of our life. You know, we go through life, and you can acquire things. But it doesn't, if you're not enjoying those victories throughout the day, what is your life worth? This guy is a multimillionaire, and I can't even get him to smile. And I'm like, and I've been to his home. You see his house in Lake Michigan. It's, oh my gosh, it's sick. It's sick. And I see people like that. And I see people that are they're just not motivated to find something you're passionate about. It. Not what other people think you'd be passionate about, but what do you like to do? And then do it. Because all the money in the world, I have so much fun on a daily basis. I don't make a lot of money, but man, I have more. You talked about my family. I had 7 brothers and sisters, so 6 brothers and sisters, and we all backed each other. I was into football. My father he was in heaven that I played professionally. And my mom too, but I was no better than any other kid in our family. My oldest sister's mentally handicapped. She's mentally disabled, but she's fine, you know. And I'm going to see her tomorrow. She's got a beautiful home, and we have different issues throughout our family, but we were all very tight, and we encouraged each other to the best that we could. But it boils down to being passionate about something. Find it, and it might be different it's going to be different for everybody. Mm-hmm. And go for it. Enjoy those small victories. But that's what I am. I'm just passionate daily. I'm looking at new things all the time. I'm trying to maintain what I already have. And I'm working with this company now that's just really fun. And I run across these startups sometimes, and some are exciting. You think they're going to go, and others you got to wait. But
yeah, so it sounds like a lot of things evolve to something else too. It doesn't always have to be where you're at. It could, lead it, because we're all a work in progress, and we're all learning new things, or at least we should, if we're putting ourselves out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like
you know what I say? I say productivity breeds productivity. Mm-hmm. So I always say that. You may not even know, but by meeting the amount of people I met yesterday at this golf outing, I'm going to follow up with all of them too. And I don't know where it's going to lead. But I will probably be able to invite several of them because they're business owners out to the Audubon racetrack, and it'll be a great day. And I've met hundreds of people throughout my career that way, and they really get a kick, and it's great.
Well, if someone were to ask me, what I would think if I could sum it up about you, I would say energy, positivity, and that most of all, that you are open. You are open to receiving from knowledge from others, and you probably have mentors in your life, I would assume.
Yes, I do.
What do you think about that as far as mentors, having people around you that you can go to?
I think it's awesome. I think it's a lot of times it's for that send button on your computer. When you write a bad, nasty email, I send it to my mentor, and he goes, "That's good. You got it off your chest. Don't hit send."
Yeah. Don't send it to the person you want to send it to if it's an angry one.
Yeah. But that's all about, and that's what a mentor does. And I need to be guided. Timmy, no, I need to be held back. I'm like the Tasmanian devil at times. I want to, there's a knee-jerk reaction at times, and there doesn't have to be. And you can turn it around, and a lot of the things, it's your approach. When sometimes I've learned how to, at times, not saying anything is amazing. And being very selective when you want to chime in, and picking your battles or your wars too. And just by not saying it, we went golfing the other day. I was with some friends, and some people had cut in front of us golfing. And I'm like, hey man, who cares? We're golfing, who cares? We went in, and they cut in front of us, or they were trying to do whatever. So the people behind us caught up to us because we were waiting for the people who cut in front of us. And this guy comes up behind us, and he's kind of an older guy, and he's kind of angry. He's like, well, are you guys, you guys cut in front or something? I just didn't say. My buddy said, well, no, those guys cut in front of them. And I was thinking, guys, it's no big deal. We're out here golfing. It's absolutely beautiful out. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's nothing to be excited about or whatever. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything at all. But anyways, the guy goes, well, I work here, and he was golfing with his friend. He's an older guy, and so he went and he kind of, I don't know what he did, but those guys got off the course. And I was thinking, that was really unnecessary. I mean, I didn't think about what's really happened. I think people get killed. I saw something on the news today, which was really sad, that a drunk girl hit a pregnant lady and killed the girl. They saved the baby. And I hate to, but it was, I'm thinking, my God, drinking and driving. I don't drink, but I drank before, and I just didn't like the way I drank. And so I stopped years ago, 15-something years ago. But you think, gosh, that could have been me if I was ever drinking and driving. Just one bad decision. And you think of the consequences or some of the things, and the things that when I was younger, that like we talked about, that could have happened, that didn't. I could have got paralyzed. I could have done this, and it didn't. And I'm so thankful that, because I look back, I dodged a lot of bullets. I really did. I come here so humbly, knowing that I got a second, third, and fourth chance in life. And I need to look back and say, you know, and when I do a good deed, there's times like, or if I get charged too much, or I got to wait in line, Tim, this is just payback for when you did this, and you did this, and you did some bad things. And, you know, and sometimes I think of it that way. I have to, because slow down and enjoy. We're golfing. This guy, I didn't say a word, and I didn't say a word. And I'm like, hopefully that guy doesn't have to get so upset. He's golf. He's got a beautiful day. He's with his family.
I always say there's a lot said in silence.
Yeah, that's a great statement.
there is silence. There really
is. It's like that old country song. You gotta know when to hold them. Know when to hold them. You know.
That's right.
Yeah, really, you just gotta know when to kind of walk away and not say anything.
Yeah. So you had the support of your family. You're talking about being passionate and going after whatever you're passionate about, I think is really key. And, you know, what are your thoughts about fear?
Fear is a good motivator, I guess, you know. But I don't know if you can control fear. There's a serenity prayer that goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change,
we know the serenity, yeah.
You know, the strength to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
You know, and something along. So you worry about things you can control. You know, you can't worry about the things you can't control, right? It's easier said than done, but there's got to be. That's what fear, I think, is all about. Is trying to worry about things we can't control. We can, in some cases, by not reacting, we can control some of the outcomes of things, you know, because we're not, like you said, silence is in times it can really change the circumstances of something by not doing anything. So it's recognizing that when to say something, when not to. You know, it wasn't a big deal, right? Or you're letting someone cut you off. You know what? Just let them go. Don't chase them down. Don't get excited. Boy, it's been fun. I've been staying in the right-hand lane, you know, and letting people pass me all the time. And it's
the old guy driving like grandpa now.
Yeah, no, but and then what happens is you end up passing them because they're stuck in the left lane. I don't know, you know, it's like, it's funny, but you just, oh boy, life is all about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
It's progressing daily. And when you have a mentor, or when you wake up every morning and you tell yourself, or when I get in the car, I'm like, Tim, there's a lot of jerks out there driving around, and you're one of them. So chill out. You're about to run into some people. Make sure you wave. You don't want to wave to them with one finger. You want to wave to them, you know, and be nice. And you really talk yourself in it. It's almost like when you go into a game. I would visualize myself, because I watched all the film and I know what's coming at me, so I know what to anticipate, right? So I have a plan, so I'm not surprised. So for instance, when a quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage, if he doesn't like the play because there's a different defense, he's going to call what's called an audible. He's going to change the play at the line of scrimmage. To change the play, if you hear the color red, that means the next numbers means we change the play. Red 359, red 359. If it was blue, it's just a fake call. But red means we're changing the play so everyone knows, whoa, we're changing the play, so we're going to do something different. And it's kind of, it almost becomes intuitive. Same way in life. When you wake up and you're getting in your car and you tell yourself, there's going to be people that are going to be impatient. Be patient with them. And tell yourself that. And then you start your car and you go out and you just remind yourself. And it becomes intuitive. And when I played at that level, I practiced so much over and over and over again, I just didn't even have to think about it after a while. It became the way that I did it. And it's the same way with the things that we do. It becomes the way you do it because now it's intuitive. You don't even have to think about it because you're doing the right thing. Because you had that coaching session with yourself in the morning and you told yourself, I want to make some good decisions. Don't get mad at this. Really, you know what I mean? And I think it's important to have a really good mentor. Somebody who helps you just talking about life.
Yeah.
How do you handle these situations? Yeah, when you talk it out, you're like, wow, you're right.
And not to have so much worry about what is at the end. Like you said, it's not the journey to the destination, but it's the progression that happens within it. And I think that's really important what you're speaking about. So, I think that there's going to be a few people who would like to know more about what you do and how to reach out to you if they have maybe they have a venue that they'd like you to speak at, or that they'd like you to take a look at their organization and what they're doing. How do they reach out to you?
Yeah. Why don't they could email me. Why don't we do that? Give them my email address, which is, can I give it to you right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll say it, then I'll spell it. It's Tim Tyrell at Comcast.net. So it's spelled Tim, and my last name is Tyrrell at Comcast, COMCAST.net. Tim Tyrell at Comcast.net. 2 R's and 2 L's.
Yes.
And then, what I could do is I can tell you what worked for me and what works for me. Because a lot of people I've seen run events or try to run events and or even just try to get athletes. Like I can get the players because they know me. They trust me. I've done events with guys, and usually I'm the one who's putting an event on for somebody.
Any of them want to come out to Hawaii?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we used to do, so for our NFLPA, I belong to the NFLPA Chicago chapter, so we formed a 501c3 from that group. One of our events every year, or one of the ways we raise money, is we sell raffle tickets for the Pro Bowl. Well, the Pro Bowl used to be in Hawaii, so we would raffle off tickets. We would make maybe $15,000 on the raffle. We have to buy the tickets, and then the trip to Hawaii. Now they don't do the Pro Bowl out there every year now, but they did. And we would auction off, and they would go to Hawaii every year for the Pro Bowl. So you guys, are you in which island are you on?
Well, I'm on the Big Island now. So no, I'm not on Oahu. I'm on the Big Island, Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Oh, cool. Yeah. But it's they can reach me at Tim Tyrell at Comcast.net, and I'd be more than happy to kind of tell them how some of the things we did. And I've done hundreds of fun events, and I'm doing one with Walgreens coming up here through another gentleman who asked me, and I got some of the big names in Chicago, including Bill Cartwright, Bill Wennington, Dan Hampton, Otis Wilson, Doug Plank, to name a few for Chicago. And then they're flying people in. Walgreens corporate is flying them all around the United States, and a lot of actors and some women who are Olympians and professional athletes as well.
That's awesome. Well, we're not as big with Valence Fitness here, but I'm gonna do a summit, a Valence Fitness summit. I'm planning on it. I'm probably gonna come out by you guys though, like out in the Midwest or Texas or something, because a lot of them are out of Texas, the speakers. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have all you guys with whatever we want to donate the funds to, have the speakers and have workshops? Because I've done a lot of women's leadership summits where they've invited me as a guest speaker, but then we have breakout rooms so people can go and listen to these individual speakers, and they buy lunch and they have a fabulous time and they learn a lot and are motivated to move on, and I can't wait for that day to happen again when we can travel around freely and be able to do those type of things. So I'm hoping 2021 will be open to that type of thing, and I hope that you will be a guest of mine there, and we would be able to raise more money for whatever cause you feel fit.
Sure. Yeah. I want to just say one thing about seminars. Okay. Mm-hmm. I would joke with people, but I'm very serious because it's not complicated. You don't need 20 books on how to lose weight or how to save money. People think, let me give you my seminar on both of those within seconds. Okay. Because ultimately you just got to do it. So let's talk about how you lose weight. You burn off more calories than you take in. Let me repeat. Burn off more calories than you take in. Now let's go on to how you save money. Make more than you spend. Let me repeat, make more than you spend. See, ultimately, just go out and do it. So when you're at the store or you're at the buffet, mashed potatoes and gravy, no. Anything fattening, no. I mean, the fried chicken, no. Get the grilled chicken. get asparagus. But ultimately, it's not hard. It's almost like a person who has cancer trying to find a doctor that will tell them that they don't have cancer. Yeah, at some point, you just don't do it. If you don't have the money, you can't spend it. You got to just budget. You got to get yourself out of that. And remember, it's not complicated. So don't go to seminars and think you got to, and you learn, you maybe remember 10% of what you sat 8 hours listening to.
Absolutely, right, yeah. You got to take good notes.
Just, if you don't have the money, don't do it. And just start there and say, okay, I got to get back to zero. And losing weight, once you start doing it, I'm telling you, after 21 days, you'll feel, you got to change your eating habits. Working out isn't even as important as the eating habits first, and you'll really see a reduction there. But you just got to cut out the calories. That's all. It's not complicated. All these fancy things, ultimately, you got to burn up more calories than you take in. So
basically, you got to have a strong will to make good choices, and you got to be passionate about it.
Yeah, and you just got to do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Or not do it. You don't do it. Yeah, it's not hard for me. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be number one, but if you want to lose weight, you can do it. And it's cool, but once you start seeing results, then it's more exciting. If you don't, you're like, oh, a week's gone by, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
You hang in there. You got to hang in.
I was going to ask you, did you have any last words of advice or that something you want to share? But it sounded like that was the one. Or is there something else?
I guess one last thing I would suggest is anytime you are doing something, make sure there's accountability. Make sure you're reporting into somebody, because if you're not letting anyone down but yourself. But if you include other people where you've made a commitment, it's a little bit harder to stop that commitment when other people are involved with your decision. You know what I mean?
So that goes back to having a team almost.
Exactly. If you're letting the team, and that's why like a Jenny Craig or just any group type of therapy, I think can work, because there's accountability. You're showing up back at the group and how much weight have you lost? And it's not, but it's fun because you're not doing it alone. I'm telling you, accountability is a huge difference between those who make it and those don't, because you'd mentioned willpower. Willpower, it's the old John Wayne theory. Let's just grin and bear it and do it. No, willpower will only get you so far. But when you have accountability, I think that's a huge factor of you being successful at something or not.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because being accountable, that's opens up that whole feeling of being judged.
Well, you're not necessarily being judged, but you're being accountable that your team is counting on you. We agreed with this together. Why aren't you holding yours where they don't even have to say it? You're just coming to the table as, it's harder to quit then too. So if you make that commitment for 21 days or for 3 months or whatever it is, and you have a team, I highly suggest getting involved in a group to even like I said, any type of weight loss thing where you're accountable, you write it down, that's nice, but where someone else sees, because they'll know if you're really doing it. If you're not losing weight, you're doing something wrong. And you're less likely to not follow it if you have someone you're reporting into.
And you make it so much stronger, too, of an effort and of having a great outcome, because it sounds like even when you are approached to do these events, you're calling on your team. You're calling out to people. Saying,
I think so. I don't know what the numbers are, but I think so. Yes.
Okay.
No question about it.
Well, good, because I think I needed this. This is a good therapy session for me, Tim. Because I'm one of those. I work alone a lot. I'm the one who trains people. But it is important to have that team. So when you're involved in stuff that doesn't incorporate a team, though, who are you accountable to? Some people say it's God. Some people say you have to be accountable to what? To whom?
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, again, you can pick a mentor, and everyone can find a mentor. And a mentor is just somebody, I think, who you think does it right, and you can look up to, and you ask them to bounce ideas on them, and they may not even know that they're a mentor, Mm-hmm. But it's sort of like, when we have that person come back into our life and say, you know what, how do you pronounce your name again?
Astenia.
Astenia said, you know what, Astenia, you have made a huge impact in my life. Because of you, I was able to accomplish this, this, and this, and I did this, this, and this, because I saw you live it. I didn't see you just talk about it, but I saw you live it. And I see how happy you are. And I see how when we go to lunch, you're so wonderful to the waitress and to the people that surround you. And that's what I always say. When I'm interviewing people, when I really want to get to know somebody, I want to see how they handle a waiter or a waitress. I want to see how they treat that person. I want to see how they treat the checkout lady or the man at the counter at the grocery store, at Walmart, or wherever you're going. I don't care what anyone's doing. And it's how do you treat that person getting the carts. I went to a donut place. I might have told you this the other day because I have a group, men's group on Fridays. And I would buy donuts, or whoever's turn it is to host the meeting, they would buy donuts. And the kid is probably 17. I don't know how old he is. I run into him 2 or 3. And I always say, how you doing? How's your day going? Not doing it for anyone to judge me or whatever. He's got the mask on. And he's like, you know what? He goes, you're the nicest person I've ever had come through here. I've been working here 2 years. You're just, I go, why? I go, what's your name? And he says, Ben. I go, Ben, I'm not doing this to try to impress anybody. I'm not doing it. I said, I said, what I am doing it for is because my life, people have given me so much. I said, I just want to carry things forward. And that includes my attitude. And if you can notice it and you can do the same thing, God bless you. Every time I come here, you do a great job. The boxes are beautiful, and the way you do everything, you guys are so nice. I go, just carry it forward for me. And he's like, thanks. And boom, I'm off. Mm-hmm. Who knows how I affected him? It was 2 seconds, but he was kind enough to say that to me. Now, again, I don't tell that story to look at me. I never do that. This isn't about me. Right. It's about everything that people did for me. And this is a result. And that's not all good. I don't do but I'm always, if I do something I don't like, I'm accountable. And I'm like, I'm disappointed in myself. And for me, I'm motivated to get better, to progress. Because again, I'm very, I'm okay with progress, not perfection, because it's never going to happen. But if I get better each time, I'm very happy. And my intent is that. So when I say stuff too, if someone takes it the wrong way, I will explain myself if they didn't get it. But ultimately, my intention wasn't to hurt, or it wasn't to be anything. Maybe I was trying to be funny and it wasn't funny, or whatever. But you know what I mean? So, and with that type of an attitude comes a tremendous amount of confidence. I'm just very confident in me, in knowing what the right thing is, and so I don't, it becomes intuitive. I'd like to think that I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm confident, and when I do the wrong thing, I'm sad, but it's not going to ruin my day.
Right.
Because I know I'm not perfect.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to know to go easy on themselves. People beat themselves up right and left, but when you're down on the ground and you look to your right and look to your left, you've got your brothers and sisters right down with you. You just got to stand back up and brush off and keep going.
Think of a daily reprieve.
Yeah.
Meaning, just think of a daily. Hey, talk to yourself. If you have whatever, God or whoever it is, just say, I'm going out today. I know, just like a quarterback does. I'm going to see different defenses. I know that it could be this, it could be this. I know all of them, so I'm not going to be surprised how I'm going to react, because I'm going to change the play, and so I already know how I'm going to react. It's not going to be a surprise to me. Yeah. And that's what I call a daily reprieve, where you're evaluating what's going to happen today, and how did I handle the day at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I mostly do it through every situation. If I didn't feel comfortable at something I said or did, I'm like, dude, you can't say that. You got to relax. You got to do,
Well, it's nice to hear that you're actually reviewing your life, and the things that you do. I think it is important for us to really take a look at ourselves and what we do and what we put out there. But I think overall, it sounds like, you live a very passionate, powerful, positive life. You're trying to influence others. I totally get now, and I learned from you, accountability is really important, that we need to express and stress that. I really appreciate you joining me today, Tim, because I think these are really powerful, messages that we have to have, especially the young people here, that it's okay to go after things in life. It's okay to make choices. It's okay to be passionate about things, and to have that support system. Look for a mentor. put yourself in a position that you're passionate about and put in the effort and not to give up even when things get hard.
I think when you're passionate, that almost becomes natural because you love it so much. Like you're not gonna fail because of lack of effort. You may fail because you're just not good enough, but you like it, and then you're guided some different way because you're like, man, I can still do it. I'm just not as great as I thought I was, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't even call it a failure, but you know your limitations then, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't fail, but I'm this good. Let's go. Maybe what else kind of excites me? What else can I get involved in? And
then but then if you do fail, to learn from it and improve. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I think we're coming to the end of the show today. I know it's already getting late by you. It's still bright and sunny over here. Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. It's 9:25. So what is it, 4:25 your time?
Yes, it's 4:25.
Okay.
Yes. So we had a lot to cover today. Is there anything else you'd like to share? One last thing, or we might have.
Just what an honor it is to have people like you in the world. Because it's all about living it, and we may not solve world peace or hunger, but we are going to make the world a better place.
Yes.
And that's what I tell a lot of the guys and girls that I get involved with charities. Listen, we're not going to solve hunger or the VA hospital or cancer, but you know what a good feeling is that we did our part, and we can go on and still have a social life with our family, and we can still do the things, but cut out a piece of that for giving back to others. And you hit the nail on the head, and that is when you're not feeling good, or you're feeling maybe even depressed, that's tough. If you're really depressed, that's hard. But if you're not feeling good, go help somebody.
Go help somebody.
It'll make you feel better.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that this episode is going to help quite a few individuals out there that need to have a little positivity in their life right now. I appreciate you coming on, Tim. I look forward to maybe meeting you in person when I come back to Chicago, which I come every 2 to 3 years.
I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. Please, if you're wanting other people to know, there are replays on YouTube under Manners and Momentum. And if you do know of other individuals that you feel have really something to share, a story they'd like to share regarding adversity and how they overcame it, and we can supply others with tools. We all learn from each other. So, what is it that they can share to help us during this time, or even in their future when COVID is all over? We want to continue this positivity. So thank you again, and thank you, Tim, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
You're welcome. All right.